wondered why some people go to the gym and get amazing results, while on the other hand, somebody else could follow that exact same training program, eat all the same foods, do all the same things, live a similar lifestyle, and seemingly make no progress at all? This can be incredibly frustrating to people who are going through it and experiencing it. And it's something that's always bothered me. Because as a coach and a personal trainer, I want to help people. I want to give my clients the advice that's going to help them transform their lives. Yet when you look around and look to the fitness industry or sports science in general, there's a lot of throwing their hands up and being like, hey, I don't know. There's a common saying in the fitness industry, everything works sometimes, but nothing works every time. And I think that while this is very useful and valid because it does speak to the uniqueness of the individual, it does speak to the complexity of biology and how it's so hard to account for all the different variables. But I think part of it is also just, like I said, throwing up their hands. Part of it is hey, I don't know. Some things work, some things don't. And I don't think that's good enough, because I think that there is a missing piece that we're not realizing, and that most of us go our entire lives without putting together and without realizing the power that we hold to create our own experience. I think that this idea that everything works sometimes, nothing works every time, just kind of go figure it out, is in a lot of ways pointing to the chaotic nature of life. It's pointing to this idea that, man, we're all at the mercy of nature and life, and we just don't have the answers. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. But the more time I've spent researching this, thinking about it, journaling on my own journey, working with clients and having conversations and studying, not just sports science and movement and exercise and nutrition and all these aspects of health and wellness, but also looking deeper into the human psyche, looking into neuro-linguistic programming, looking into spirituality and some of the ancient texts and ancient ideas and some of the ideas that spiritual teachers have been sharing with us for thousands of years. What if the world isn't as chaotic as we've been led to believe? What if we just don't realize or recognize the patterns and principles that are organizing our experience? I think this is the missing piece. This is why two people can go through the same training program, eat all the same foods, live the same lifestyle, and get completely different results. Because they're each creating their own experience. The universe is mental. What we experience as the real world, as the material world, is just an outpicturing of who we are on the inside. It's our consciousness and our inner state being reflected back to us in material form for us to experience and learn through and grow through. So with this said, in order to change our experience in the world, including our physical body, all we need to do is change who we believe ourselves to be. If we can change our concept of ourself, then the world around us is going to change to fit that belief. This is a really, really simple concept, but it's so much easier said than done. This isn't about thinking happy thoughts or wishing for something or even believing that things are going to be better in the future. There is no future. We live in an eternal right now. So what we need to do in this moment is change our state of being. We need to become the version of ourselves who's capable of achieving our goals. to be that version of ourselves right now. To think the things that he would think, to do the things that he would do, to believe the things he would believe, and expect the things that he would expect. Because the point is, once you can become your highest expression, right? When you can become the version of yourself who is capable of achieving your goals, then that's the level of frequency that you are going to vibrate on. And when you're vibrating at that level, you're going to call more things into your life that are also vibrating on that level. So the outer world around you is going to change to reflect your inner state. Now, I know that this can be a tough concept to fully embrace, and a lot of you are probably rolling your eyes, like, oh, this is nonsense, this is ridiculous. But bear with me for a little bit, because your world right now feels so real because what I'm saying is true. Because everything that you experience is a reflection of your current frequency. So everywhere you look, you're being reminded and hypnotized back into believing you are the version of yourself that you no longer want to be. Everything around you is hypnotizing you back into what you believe to be true, or what you have currently believed to be true. This entire life is a series of patterns. Patterns of thought, patterns of behavior, patterns of action, patterns of expectation. And of all these patterns, I don't think any of them have anywhere near the control that your patterns of thought have over your life. On average, we think 50,000 thoughts per day. That's so many. We can't possibly pay attention to them all. And to be honest, most of them happen subconsciously. But of those 50,000 thoughts, 98% of them are the exact same as the previous day. So our life becomes this continuous loop of the exact same thought patterns. And of those thoughts, 85% of them are negative. We tend to spend our whole day with a soundtrack playing in our head, this narrative of self-limiting beliefs and negative self-talk and judgment of ourselves and others and gossip and just worst-case scenarios constantly playing out in our head. And we believe it. We accept these thoughts to be true because we're having them. And then those thoughts are what's controlling our life. Those thoughts elicit certain behaviors and emotions, and those emotions cause us to create chemicals and hormones that affect the way we feel. They affect the way we act, they affect the way we look, and they affect the way we perceive the world. And then it becomes this continuous loop. And when we're stuck in this continuous loop, we lose our ability to choose for ourselves. We lose our ability to respond to the experiences of life, and instead we just react instantly. And every time we react instantly, we react with the same thoughts that we had the previous day or the last time we were triggered. So when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we're triggered with a certain response. When we're with our friends, when we look around, when we see the car we drive, when we get cut off in traffic, all these things trigger familiar responses that we don't even know are happening because they happen so fast and they happen subconsciously. But like I said, each one of those is eliciting a certain emotion and a certain chemical reaction. And those are what's causing our body to look the way it does and feel the way it does and causing our life to be what it is. Every time this happens, every time something in our life triggers a subconscious thought, a subconscious reaction, our life is reinforcing our beliefs. It's reinforcing who we believe ourselves to be, and it's reinforcing how we believe life to be. So this is the missing piece, right? This is why two people can do the same program and get different results. Because one of them believes they're capable of doing it, one of them, believes that they're worthy of changing their body and changing their life, and they believe that it can happen and will happen and is happening because they feel that state of it already happened. Where another person believes the opposite. And in their mind is a continuous loop of, oh, you'll never be good enough. This will never work for you. You'll always be overweight, or you'll always be weak, or you will always be blank, whatever it is. And then that's what happens, and that's what plays out. You'll notice that these same things happen in life. Some people win the lottery and will very quickly go broke after. Some people will lose a bunch of weight and then put it right back on. Yo-yo dieters. There's a term for it because it's so common. You might have noticed in your life that the same patterns tend to play out in your friendships and your romantic relationships. You maybe have had 3 ex-girlfriends in a row and they were all the same. It's because these same patterns play out because our thoughts keep on repeating. And when our thoughts repeat, the pattern repeats, our life repeats. So then what happens when we do decide that we want to make a change? We decide that we want to transform our life, and we get really excited and emotionally charged, but it's still only 1/50,000th of our thoughts. So thinking happy thoughts, like I mentioned before, isn't enough because you can think of the perfect body all you want. But then if you turn your head and you see the world and it instantly reminds you of the way you used to look, then you're not going to be able to make those changes because they're not going to last. And subconsciously, the program that's running, 49,999 thoughts of I'm not good enough, I'm always going to be fat, I'm always going to be weak, is playing in the background. Then that one, this is when it changes, I'm ready to become jacked, isn't going to stick, and it's not going to change who you are. It's not going to change your concept of yourself. The magic happens when you learn to become the version of yourself who's capable of achieving your goals. So let's use a 6-pack as an example. So maybe you've got a little bit of a gut and you want 6-pack abs. You can want a 6-pack forever. Like you can want it every day. It's not going to bring it any closer. In fact, the wanting is pushing it away because when let's think of your concept of self, right? Your consciousness wanting a 6-pack is basically saying, I don't have a 6-pack. And this is where most people get stuck and hung up. This is why I said before, it's easier said than done, because it's really hard to separate yourself from your perceived reality and to change your concept of self and ignore everything else. But if you really want a 6-pack, you need to become the version of yourself who has a 6-pack. And then you need to do the things that he does. You need to eat like he does. You need to go to bed early, get up early, and be disciplined and go to the gym. And maybe you're doing all these things already. That's great. Keep doing them. But you also need to feel what it feels like to have that 6-pack. This world is an illusion. It's a game that we're playing. It's an opportunity for our soul to learn and grow and experience. So we are an aspect of consciousness, experiencing the world, and that perspective of experience is our character in this game that we're playing. So you're not your name, you're not your title, you're not your accomplishments, you're not your body, you're not your failures, you're not any of these things. You're the consciousness that's behind it. You're the awareness that's observing all these ways that we identify ourselves. But it's important to recognize that this game it's just an illusion, and that we have so much more control over it than we probably have ever thought we do. You created your character. Yeah, you had help. Your parents probably named you, and they taught you things and taught you who you were, and your friends and your culture and your school and your religion and your job, and along the way you've picked up all these behaviors and all these parts of your identity and your personality. But that's not who you are. It's just who you chose to be. You agreed to all of it. And not just once. You actually agree to this every single day. So when I was talking before about how the world hypnotizes you back into believing who you thought you were, that's the character. The world is, once we kind of choose and create this character and put it out there, the world is going to be a projection of that character, and it's going to make you believe in it. It's so real, but it's not. It's an illusion, and we are in control. And as soon as you stop choosing to continue to be that character, you can pick any character you want. Dr. Joe Dispenza puts this beautifully. He says, if you want to change your personal reality, change your personality. It's so simple and perfect, but it's just another way of saying, if you want anything in your life to change, the first thing you need to do is change the character you're playing. Change the concept you have of yourself, and the world is going to change to match it. As a personal trainer, I've had the opportunity to get really close with a lot of people and to share in deep, intimate conversations around things that people usually don't like to talk about, like body image and insecurities. They say things like, oh, exercise doesn't work for me, or this runs in my family, or I'll always be this way. The more I have these conversations, and the more people open up to me, the more I realize that what's standing in their way isn't physical at all. It's mental. They get trapped in these loops that we talked about before, these patterns of thought, these patterns of expectations, these behaviors and beliefs. And all they're doing is defending and reinforcing their self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs are basically just a series of opinions that we hold about ourselves. It's thoughts and ideas that have come into our minds somehow, and we've embraced them as if they're true. And we allow them to become a prison. They confine us and they hold us down. And the whole time, it's something that we made up. This is a prison where we're both the prisoner and the prison guard. And we hold the keys to releasing these self-limiting beliefs and actually becoming our potential, becoming our highest expression, and achieving all of our goals.